You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
In your American football opinion, NFL opinion, do you think Tua should retire?
No.
Good. Completely why. But people are saying he should retire. I was like, why?
I think the doctor that was on Concussion, the movie, he was the neurologist that brought the whole conversation to the NFL, and he actually named CTE. He's the one right now saying Tua should retire. So he actually doesn't think people should play football at all. So if he says he thinks Tua should retire, it's because he doesn't think humans should be playing football at all. Far be it from me to disagree with the person who coined the name of CTE. But yeah, man. It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. I got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast. What you got going on, Kadeem?
It's good. I would say it's good to finally get this whole concussion discussion behind us as we look forward to another game of football. But I feel like this is something which is basically never going to go away. So I think it's good that right now we can focus on a game. People will try and bring up, the Tua situation, but he's in a concussion protocol. He's not playing on Sunday. So I think it's best as a team, as a fan base, to look forward and get behind Teddy Two Gloves, who we all assume is a starter. And for a bit of fun, we could have a conversation about Skylar Thompson. I don't think there's a conversation to be had, but there will always be Miami fans who are entitled to their opinion and will always want to see the backup play over the starter because they always think the backup is better than the starter.
You like Skylar Thompson to make an appearance?
If Skylar Thompson makes an appearance, it's because Teddy Two Gloves is injured, and I don't want to see that. So I can't imagine Teddy Two Gloves playing bad enough that Skylar Thompson needs to get any meaningful snaps. You know what? I'll take it back. I say if you say Skylar Thompson, it's because Teddy Two Gloves get injured. We could beat the Jets so badly that in the fourth quarter we're going to play Skylar Thompson. So yeah.
Well, listen, the Miami Dolphins are 3-1 going into week 5. Only other teams in the AFC that are 3-1 are the Chiefs and the Bills. Am I missing somebody? No, I'm not. So, believe it or not, the Dolphins have a legitimate chance to not only win their division, but we can be playing for a bye in the playoffs. And I understand people, it's week 5. All right, listen, realistically, the two best, I said it last podcast, the AFC East is the best division in football right now. And it's not a juggernaut of a division like when San Fran and Seattle and Arizona and the Rams were like banging heads over there, or when Baltimore and Pittsburgh were powerhouses of the North. No, it's not a juggernaut division, the AFC East, but it is right now the best division in football. And just to go through the divisions real quick, other than the AFC, so the AFC East has the Dolphins 3-1, the Bills 3-1. Bills, for my dollar, are the best team in the NFL. The Jets are 2-2. The Patriots are 1-3. You got the AFC West. You got the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders. And everyone over there except the Chiefs are wet in the bed. But the Chiefs don't look like the powerhouse Chiefs that we're familiar with. Then you got the Browns leading the AFC North, 2-2. Ravens 2-2, Bengals 2-2, Steelers 1-3. The Bengals, by the way, were only winning 6-7 when Tua got hurt that game, and we were still in it all the way up to the fourth quarter. I think the Kittens are in trouble, and we would have exposed them. I guess it wouldn't have been the exposure, but then you got AFC South, 2-2 Jags, 2-2 Titans, 1-2 Colts, 0-3-1 Texans. Nobody wants it over there. So that's just the AFC teams. And if I'm being real with you, there's no division for my dollar that's better than the AFC East right now. So every game we play is meaningful. Teddy Two Gloves is going to, matter of fact, put my 2 gloves on real quick, but put my 2 gloves on. For the audio listeners, let me strap up. You feel me? Throw my 2 gloves on. It's time for 2 gloves.
Listen, we've got the quarterback ready, the coach is ready, Go Time Dolphins is ready for the Jets. That's all I'm saying. I don't know what play we're going to call first, but you always kind of look at how to beat upcoming teams, and what better way to tell the Go Time Dolphin listeners how to beat the Jets with Coach K and I guess Touche Two Gloves, TTG.
TTG, Touche Two Gloves. Listen, man, Teddy gonna come out there with the usher for everybody who wanted Skylar Thompson. Teddy got a whole full practice of first team reps. He's gonna be like, watch this.
Oh. Genuine question. Do you think there's with Tua down injured for the foreseeable future, do you think there's a legit quarterback battle in Miami, or is it like Teddy's the next man up, and Skylar Thompson, like we said, was great against second and third stringers, but he's just not ready for the NFL given his college sample size and even what we saw in preseason?
Did you say quarterback controversy?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the right term to use, but when I'm scrolling through Twitter, when I'm seeing Dolphins fans, there are a lot of and I'm saying it's their opinion. Like this should be Skylar Thompson's team, given what we saw in preseason, the way he shot, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, you're talking about quarterback controversy between Teddy and Skylar Thompson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I've seen people say that, this is Teddy's team going forward. It's like, listen, stop. Like to say that Teddy's going to overtake Tua, I'm not even entertaining that conversation. This is we can entertain it or we can just shut it down straight away. But it's a conversation that some Dolphins fans are having on social media.
I mean, Sean Payton did say Teddy was going to take over the job and run with it because Teddy was the better quarterback than between Teddy and Tua. Although that's not what happened. Teddy's coming in because of injury. I think if you ask the anti-Tuas, a lot of anti-Tuas, who you want on the field right now, they're going to tell you Tua over Teddy, bro. Like, I think a lot of them would tell you Tua over Teddy. Like, listen, the Dolphins need Tua back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't sit here and tell me that you trust this Miami Dolphins team with Teddy the same way you trust them with Tua. You not saying Teddy's not good enough, because for my dollar, he's one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league. And if San Fran could do it with Jimmy Garoppolo, we got to be able to do it with Teddy Two Gloves. Matter of fact, I'm going to keep these 2 gloves on until Tua comes back. Every episode, I'm going to have my 2 gloves on. Shout out to Tua. Get well. Speedy recovery. I hate when people say speedy recovery. Like, just recover, bro. Just take your time and recover, bro. We don't need a speedy recovery. We need a full recovery. So forget that speedy recovery stuff, man. No, but Teddy gets a practice with the ones. He gets a whole playbook. He gets McDaniel already knows what he wants with Teddy, what he doesn't want with Teddy. So I'm comfortable with Teddy coming in, and it's like a preseason game against the Paper Planes. Can't ask for a better situation.
Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm kind of like slanted to one side. I saw a tweet the other day, and I don't think I liked it. I want to give a shout out to the person who said it. I can't find it right now, but they basically said over the past few years, if you look at where Teddy's been, the teams he's been on, and his record with those teams, it kind of like Teddy should be fine with this Miami team to beat the Jets and a few teams going forward. And that's basically his ceiling, I guess. That worst case scenario, break glass, bring out Teddy, he'll win you a few games. A full season, we're not quite sure, but yeah, a Jets team which are kind of feeling themselves against a Miami team which are rightfully still confident given the games they've played and stuff like that. Yeah, Teddy. Again, people like Teddy is a Miami boy. Like, this is a homecoming for him. So if anything, like, not they needed extra motivation, but he will want to come out and get a dub in Miami as a starter. And to kind of go back to the whole Skylar Thompson thing very quickly, you are right. I think when Tua went down against the Bills, even the Tua naysayers were like, "Oh snap! Like, I don't want to see Teddy. I want to see Tua." He comes back, leads the team to a victory over the Bills, goes down against Buffalo, and people are like, we can't have Tua out for too long. And I don't think that's discrediting Teddy. I think it's more people saw what Tua can do in this system and all that kind of stuff. Listen, Skylar Thompson was great in preseason, and it's funny that the new QB3 is Reed Sinnett, who there was a time when people called him for Reed Sinnett to start in Miami because of what he done in preseason. Not to discredit anyone that throws a football in preseason in the NFL, because it still takes a level to get there, as Charlie practices catching. Skylar Thompson was going up against vanilla defenses and looked good, but where are those guys now? And when Skylar Thompson's going up against, as you like to say, live bullets, a genuine NFL pass rush, NFL defenses that are trying to, for lack of a better term, hit him hard, I personally don't think he'll hold up just yet. He still needs a bit more seasoning, a bit more, looks in preseason and stuff like that. So yeah, this is Teddy's team until Tua gets back. And also, I think it's only fair to say that Sean Payton did say the week after he was kind of wrong about Tua. This is his team.
Oh, so, I didn't catch that.
You know what? Yeah, he on the same Cow show, he said, "Yeah, I was maybe a bit premature about my Tua take, and yeah, he looks like the real deal right now."
And I never told you what I thought about Ryan Fitzpatrick. You said, "Oh, what did I think about Ryan Fitzpatrick? What he said about Tua?" So I ended up watching what Ryan Fitzpatrick said about Tua, and no, there was nothing that Ryan Fitzpatrick said that was damaging. Like it was an indictment on Tua. He basically said Tua should use his strengths to be a better quarterback instead of worrying about what he can't do and trying to get those things better to use that to be a better quarterback. I know I didn't word that the best way, but no, Ryan Fitzy is Fitzy. Man, you said a whole bunch there, man. And I can't remember now what you said, but live rounds, Kadeem, live rounds.
Apologies. Sorry. See, this know what? I don't mess with guns apart from Call of Duty. That's the only time I use guns, so I apologize.
Live rounds. Skylar Thompson. Here's the thing with Skylar Thompson. let me not go to Skylar Thompson route. Let me go back to what's at stake. Buffalo's playing against Kenny Pickett. First Kenny Pickett start is going to be against Buffalo. And can Kenny Pickett sneak in and no one has film on him? And can he, sneak up on the Bills and make it a real ugly, tough game and win it by a field goal? Maybe. I don't know. I doubt it. But the Bills still have the Chiefs and the Packers. We just seen the Bills look normal against Baltimore, and Baltimore blew it. So this is going to be something we follow for the rest of the season. Pending injury, the Bills look like the hardest part of their schedule is within now and the next 3 weeks after this. So we started that. Baltimore didn't do us no favors, but it is what it is. We just got to win our games. And when we're talking like that, we got let's find out what Skylar Thompson looked like. Can we keep the lead in the division? You know what I'm saying? Can we keep the division to ourselves? So I'm not here to experiment. I know what I get out of Teddy, and I also believe that should be good enough to win these next few games without Tua. So I'm trying to win the division. I'm trying to get this lead a little bit bigger. I'm trying to create a little space between us and Buffalo. Maybe they take an L somewhere, and we keep rolling, keep the wheels rolling. All these games are winnable now. We got the Jets, we got the Vikings, we got the Steelers, we got the Bears, we got the Lions. All of these games are winnable games to where, and even that Chargers game that I thought we were going to lose, that game is not. I'm not as afraid of that game because who would have thought? I don't think Justin Herbert is as good as everyone is saying he is. Not saying he's bad at all. And it's crazy how I have to take sides, and I can't just appreciate Justin Herbert and Joey Bullets. I have to I got to defend my quarterback. But no, I don't think the Chargers are as good as they're supposed to be for whatever reason. If it was the Dolphins, it would be the quarterback's blame. So we're just going to blame Justin Herbert for the Chargers not being as good as they're supposed to be here on Go Time Dolphins. So by the time we get to week 13, week 14, and we're playing the Chargers and the Bills and the Packers, bro, that Bills-Dolphins game in Buffalo, that could be for a first-round bye. You know what I'm saying? So everyone who wants to experiment with Skylar Thompson in week 5, bro, you got to look at the bigger picture. You know what you get with Teddy. No, we don't know what we get with Skylar Thompson with live rounds. But at the same time, is that something you're trying to figure out right now? I'm not willing to. I'm not willing to do that.
No, not at all. And I think it's one of those things where I still can't find that Teddy tweet. Although this is quite important, Teddy came in for Drew Brees in 2019 and led the Saints to a 5-0 record.
I was about to say he didn't lose a game.
Yeah,
Teddy didn't lose a game, and I thought that was more. Man, y'all know I love 2 gloves. I got 2 gloves on right now. Matter of fact, I told you I'm gonna keep 2 gloves on every episode until Tua comes back. It's gonna be Touche 2 gloves. I don't like Touche 2 gloves. Can we come up with something else? 2 glove Touche.
2 gloves Touche can work.
We'll figure it out.
Like 2 gloves Touche sound like a boxer. Like 2 gloves Touche. Like
Charlie 2 gloves.
No, see, I didn't like that. I didn't like. To me, the Touche's 2 gloves, like the T and the T, like the Teddy 2 gloves, Touche 2 gloves. But
okay,
we'll make it work.
We'll get it work out.
Yeah, I'm now left my train of thought. Oh yeah, it's we saw last season when Tua went down and the Dolphins didn't win a single game, and then Tua had to come back and basically had to run the gauntlet to try and get into the playoffs, and we missed out. People say we missed out because the Titans game, it was a 7-game losing streak beforehand. Like, we're not going to get back into that. That was last season. But to follow on from your point, if we can basically match the Bills until Tua gets back, and we're assuming it's in like 2 or 3 weeks, and then continue that win streak, because I'm not a, the Dolphins should have been looking at, weeks ahead. They should be looking at one game at a time. But as fans on Go Time Dolphins, we can look weeks ahead. And looking at this next stretch of games, if the Dolphins are really about that life, it's got to be 7-0.
Got to. Hey, these are subpar teams, bro.
Yeah, and obviously the Dolphins that I guess I've started watching, and I'm sure you've seen as well, will find a way to lose some of these games. Like really, like we're doing this now. However, new slate, new coaching staff, all the newness that comes with Mike McDaniel Dolphins, beating Buffalo, beating Baltimore, continue slapping up Bill Belichick and the Patriots. If we can go 7-0 in this stretch of games, and assuming Tua gets back in that stretch of games as well, then you can get into those probably guarantees you a playoff place because we'll be 10-1 if my maths is correct.
Something like that. We'll go with 10-1.
So say the Dolphins get 10-1, that basically only the Dolphins can go 10-1 and miss out on the playoffs because at that point life it's just not with the Dolphins anymore. But at the same time, it's also you can then get into that Buffalo game, having already beaten them, go, do you know what? We're kind of playing with half men at that point. I'm not even trying to say entertain a loss at that point, but you win the next 7 games and you really are not just the masters of your own destiny in terms of a playoff place, but genuinely, the number 1 seed and a bye week and all that kind of stuff. So one game at a time, starting with the Jets, how do we overcome the Jets? But at the same time, the optimistic fan in me is kind of seeing the Jets as the start to another win streak, this time a 7-game win streak, and to put us in a really healthy position going forward.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from this playoff talk. Like as I look at the divisions right now, like Chargers 2-2, Broncos 2-2, Raiders 1-3, Ravens 2-2, Bengals 2-2, Steelers 1-3. Like I'm really trying not to get on this. Well, the Dolphins. I'm trying not to do that, but this is what we play the game for. And realistically, it could just be Dolphins, Bills, and we're the toast of the town, and just whoever wins the next Dolphins Bills game is going to be the 1 seed. So I got something for you though, man. I feel like we got the Jets, we got the Vikings, we have Pittsburgh, we have Lions, we have Bears. Oh my. I believe in Mike McDaniel so much, Kadeem, that his play calling, it's almost like, I don't want to say he likes the challenge, but when I see adversity in the midst of a game, I see Matt Hasselbeck said this too. Hasselbeck said this on the Pat McAfee show. And McAfee was like, man, these some big time throws. Like Tua's doing it, and Tua did that. And then Hasselbeck was like, yeah, not only did Tua do that, McDaniel did that too, because he had to call this game. He had to call that script, like call those plays. And I'm like, bruh. And I thought about that before Hasselbeck said it. And I'm like, man, there isn't a game. Even when we went down to Cincinnati and we were losing when Tua went down, all the way up to the pick and towards the end of the game, I'm like, bro, we could win this. This is not bad. The kittens are not what it is. So I trust Mike McDaniel in these next 4 games, we'll call it, or the next Teddy 2 glove games. And I trust that he'll put us in a situation to where we could really win these games. Now, I'm going to be real with you. If there's ever a time that the running game wanted to show up, like, hey, if y'all want to RSVP right now would be a nice time to RSVP running game. Please and thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where heading into the season, the whole thing was if the Miami Dolphins defense can maintain the level we've been playing at, give or take those up and down moments, which are a bit too up and down for our liking, and then you add Mike McDaniel's passing game, and probably more importantly, Mike McDaniel's run game. If we can get a run game in Miami, perfect, brilliant. Through the first few weeks, we haven't seen that one game. We've seen one guy, make an explosive play for like 20 yards, but to be able to consistently run the ball, prime example against Buffalo, where you want like the 1 yard line, you might want to run the ball to get a first down and win the game, and you can't basically get off your own goal line. The Jets will offer their own problems in terms of what they do and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not saying that Teddy Two Gloves needs the help, but that help, like, it's not a bad thing. How about we not rely on Teddy Two Gloves' arm, not rely on a clearly injured Jalen Waddle, be it his groin or whatever he's carrying. He's able to get through games, but if we can limit some of his route running downfield with a nice, steady run game, chew the clock, play complementary football. We kind of said it, bring it against the Bills, bring it against the Bengals, please bring it against the Jets. If you can't run on the Jets, we're going to have a proper sit down and go, yo, what is going on right now?
You know what I'm curious? I'm interested in seeing. I'm interested in seeing how much was on Tua and how much is going to be on Teddy. For example, the deep ball throws and how many targets Hill and Waddle were getting combined. I wonder if that was by design, or I wonder if that was just Tua in his comfort zone. So what I can't wait to see is what does that look like now with Two Gloves at the helm? Is Waddle still going to be able to get off? Is Hill going to be able to get off? Does Mike Gesicki all of a sudden become an outlet for Two Gloves? Does Cedric Wilson all of a sudden get a gang of targets because Two Gloves likes a different direction? So I'm curious. I'm anxious to see what we're about to get. And if I'm Coach McDaniel, what I think is going to happen, and we kind of seen it because Tua went out in the first quarter, and Tyreek Hill still had 10 receptions, maybe, I think he had in that game. What I think happens is you're going to see tons of targets, but in intermediate routes. So there'll be safe, wide, like safe window targets. Might not ask Teddy Two Glove to be tight window Teddy. You know what I'm saying? But I think you're still going to get a lot of production from these receivers, but more in intermediate routes. We're still gonna make the attempt to go over the top though, but because you have to keep the defense honest, and then you got burners for a reason. So you're still gonna see it, but I wonder how much more, not how much we're gonna see the deep ball, but just the difference of what the offense looks like with Teddy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing that's really interesting to me is I'm not saying that Tua can't do this. Up until, the game against the Bengals, we hadn't seen Miami do this at all, as far as I can remember. It's one thing I see the Chiefs do a lot, and the Ravens do to a lesser extent. And it's that on the goal line, Mahomes will have the ball and that quick pitch to Kelsey, and Kelsey's
shovel pass.
Yes, shovel pass. Sorry, yeah. I haven't seen Miami do that. Maybe I've missed it. Teddy Two Gloves comes in, and it's something that Mike McDaniel goes to. Now, I'm in no way saying that Tua can't do it, but to me, it's a whole. Mike McDaniel has so much more up his sleeve, which we just not, which we haven't even comprehended yet. We saw that against the Bengals, and like I said, this what we're going to see with Teddy Two Gloves. How is Mike McDaniel going to adapt his scheme? Say, okay, Tua is super accurate, super good at getting the ball out quickly via dart. Fair enough. Teddy, what are you good at, and how are we going to implement our system to, get the best out of you, basically? And it's funny, one of the journalists, I think on Monday, said to Tyreek Hill, how confident are you that you can produce with Teddy Bridgewater, a quarterback? And Tyreek Hill just looked at the guy dead in his eyes like, I can put numbers up with you. And everyone kind of laughs and stuff like that. But Tyreek Hill kind of said, he's had, he's the Chiefs quarterback before Mahomes.
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith obviously had Mahomes. Tyreek Hill isn't there going, you know what? I'm not going to be able to get 100 yards with 10-2 gloves. Part of Tyreek Hill's game is throw me the ball and I'm gone. Like I'm just gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not saying that it's going to be screens and little hitches and Hill will do the rest. There will still be plays where guys are just wide open down the field because of the scheme, because of speed and stuff like that. But to kind of end on what you said, maybe we do see more Mike Gesicki, more Cedric Wilson, more guys we haven't seen in the past few weeks.
Hey, we ain't talk about the defense at all, Kadeem. You concerned yet? You know what? What's your panic meter?
It's still
10 being the highest. What is your panic meter on the defense?
It was exactly where it was at the end of the last episode. It's at a 3.
Hold on. You said it last episode that it was at a 3?
Right at the end when we kind of talked, like it's like one of the last things we said, and you were kind of saying how Josh Boyer,
Mm-hmm.
we need to have a conversation, and I kind of said, right now I'm at a 3. I kind of put that down to, yes, we gave up a lot of yards to Josh Allen and the Ravens. I am of the personal belief that Josh Allen just done Josh Allen things against his defense. And I'm not saying the defense has played well. It really hasn't. We haven't seen Jalen Phillips get home as often as we would like to. Emmanuel Ogba's been okay, but, hasn't been what we've seen over the past few years. The standards that I want to hold this defense to, I want to see more from, friends of the podcast, by Brandon Jones and Javon Holland. They've been nice at moments, but I think they can add more. We've had a conversation about X. I'm sure it's going to go for the entire season. But yeah, right now I'm not worried. I'd be worried if the Jets can pass for 400 yards against us. Then I'm like, yo, guys, what are you doing?
Everybody in the comments, comment below your panic meter right now for the Miami Dolphins defense. 10 being the highest, 1 being I'm not worried at all. My panic meter is at a 7. I'm concerned about this defense. And I'm concerned, but 6.5. My panic meter is at a 6.5. Because we made those third down stops. We made those fourth down stops. We made the goal line stops. But everything between the 20 and the 20, it was bro. Like it's like we just let them get to the 20 and didn't play any defense between the 20s. So I heard what you said about Josh Allen and potential MVP and Lamar Jackson. But what I didn't hear you mention at all, Kadeem, was how we only got 1 sack on someone who was projected to have 85 sacks on the season. Like, take 85 sacks. We only got 1 sack on that Bengals O-line that says everyone wants to give Joe credit, Joe Burrow the excuse of having the terrible O-line. The Dolphins only got 1 sack on that O-line. He had 15 sacks before he played the Dolphins this season. Not like, he had 16 sacks dating back to week 14 of last season. No, Joe Burrow got sacked 15 times this season before he played the Dolphins, and the Dolphins only got him once. We're going back up to a 7. My panic meter is at a 7.
But then if you watch the Bengals games prior to that, not all 15 sacks, but quite a few of those sacks were Burrow holding on to the ball for far too long. It's like, dude, get rid of it. Now you're taking a sack. For whatever reason, against Miami, he just didn't do that. Maybe it was because Xavier Howard was getting burnt way too easily. And again, I'm not trying to say that we both expected the Dolphins to get home a lot more than they did against the Bengals. But we kind of said that we can exploit Burrow holding on to the ball for too long and get home. He didn't hold on to the ball for too long. So if we're kind of saying that a lot of Burrow sacks are on him and he cleans things up against the Dolphins, at what point do you say, do you know what, Burrow, fair play? You knew the Dolphins were going to bring pressure and you got rid of it quickly. Because same way we said against prior to playing the Ravens, that zero blitz, Lamar Jackson had no answer for it. keep sending it. And he was like, yo, I've got the answer. I've got the book.
To be fair, in that Ravens game, we didn't play him the same. And I think Boyer didn't play Jackson on purpose the same because they thought they were going to make the adjustment. And we made the wrong adjustment, and then we got torched. So I don't know if that's a applicable excuse for the Ravens game. You got something else? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, because I'm looking, and again, I'm not trying to, analyze the games on stats because we both saw the games. We both know the Dolphins defense isn't where it should be right now. But I'm looking at Lamar Jackson's passing yards, 318 yards, had himself a day. But rushing yards, he had that massive run for 75 yards, and then he would have had 8 carries for about 20, 30 yards. No one else for the Ravens had a better run game than 16 yards. No one else.
It was the final stat line, though, Kadeem.
Oh, look, what, in terms of rushing yards?
I mean, total yards.
Oh, over 400 yards. But again, I'm not trying to say don't worry, but I'm saying even that Ravens game alone, it's 2 massive plays that totally 2 plays for 150 yards. And again, one of them, you and I both said X messed up with Sean Bateman, completely left him, and the other one, Lamar Jackson done something Lamar Jackson. I'm looking at it going, obviously you can't take away 2 big plays, but when 2 plays go for 150 yards, excuse things massively. If a quarterback throwing 2-3 yards passes and then goes 1 for 80 yards, his yards are going to go right up, and it's well, hold on, you can't. To me, I'm legislating for those 2 massive chunk plays.
But Kadeem, if you just okay, I understand what you're saying, but now what you're saying is if you take those 2 plays out and then you take away the fact that Josh Allen did Josh Allen, then we'll be good. But that's not what happened. Those plays happened, and Josh Allen went Josh Allen on us, and now we have to talk about facts. That's all I'm saying, bro. So I hear what you're saying. But ultimately, the fact is, Ravens went 400 plus on us, and the Bills went 500 on us, and we didn't get a sack against. We got 1 sack. I'm sorry, we got 1 sack against Joe Burrow. That's the fact. So we're gonna see what Zach Wilson does this week.
And that's why I said if Zach Wilson goes off a black, okay, now we have an issue.
And then someone's gonna say, "Oh, Xavier Howard's hurt." So either way, you can always. There's always gonna be something, and the fact remains the fact. The fact is, the yards are getting put up on us. So everyone can have their excuse of, well, this happened and then that happened. And if you remove those 2 plays and you don't play Josh Allen, and then if you play the Jets and Xavier Howard was healthy, nah, bro. No, panic meter. I'm telling you, panic meter. But I'm not telling you to panic. I'm not telling you to panic. But I'm telling you, this defense is not the defense of 2 years ago. We had that defense 2 years ago, and everyone thought, oh, the Dolphins got one of the best defenses. But then we went on a 7-game losing streak the year after that. And then it was, well, what happened? And now we're playing 2 years removed from that top 3 in scoring defense from 2 seasons ago. I'm just saying that's a long time ago.
But I think even that defense from 2 years ago basically done something which the league wasn't quite prepared for and just put up crazy numbers. And there was always going to be a regression. The regression shouldn't have been this bad. And maybe part of the reason my panic meter isn't as high as yours is because if I was seeing Byron Jones and X healthy, getting close, I'm yo, guys, you guys are healthy. You have no excuses. Obviously, excuses play a small role. People will play a big role in excuses. But that's what I'm saying. Right now, I'm still kind of calm because, again, and this is just my personal opinion, we went to that Buffalo game going, how are we going to stop Josh Allen? We couldn't stop Josh Allen, even though we held him to 17 points. And I was like, oh, Josh Allen done Josh Allen things. Yes, we expected and predicted Josh Allen to do Josh Allen things. And because that happened, that isn't going to change my opinion. Josh Allen was Josh Allen. I'm not going to excuse that game, but I can't be angry at something that I expected to happen.
Ain't nobody angry, Kadeem. You acting.
Maybe angry, but I'm not gonna panic over something I expected to happen.
I don't know about that, but
you didn't expect Josh Allen to put up around 400 yards.
But you only use one variable of the equation of why my panic meter is at 7. You use one variable, which was You didn't expect Josh Allen to do Josh Allen.
I've explained the other.
Yeah, and combined, that's you. And then now you're gonna have a catalyst and Zach Wilson doing something, and then it's like, we nah. I just look at the facts.
I get it. There has to be before the eye-opening thing. There's usually this happened, and this happened, and if Zach Wilson goes off, he could say, "Well, I tried to tell you because I saw this coming." I'm not saying you're black. I told you so, but it's like
I'm just saying that's a lot of buts. Oh, the Dolphins' defense is good. Yeah, but we played Lamar Jackson. Dolphins' defense is good. Yeah, but we played Josh Allen. Dolphins' defense is good. Dolphins' defense is good. But we only got Joe Burrow. Nah, bro, that's too many buts.
It's just not what we have rightfully done for the other side of the ball. It's like I'm not going to evaluate Tua because he's had a bunch of legit excuses. Like
no, so hold on. Excuses are what you're giving the Dolphins defense.
The facts. I haven't. Every single thing I've said has been a fact.
Right, and a fact remains that the Dolphins defense is below average right now. That's a fact. Dolphins defense is below average right now. So what you said about Tua and excuses when he had a bad O-line and stuff, those weren't excuses. It was like, how do you evaluate your quarterback if you can't get the protection? So there was nothing like you played Josh Allen. Oh, well, how are you going to evaluate your defense if you play Josh Allen? That's not equivalent. How are you going to evaluate your defense if someone breaks for 150 yards in 2 plays? That's not equivalent.
But at the same time, it's like the Dolphins defense isn't going to be based on playing Josh Allen 17 times a season. It's not. They play him twice.
And I said nothing about Josh Allen 17 times or 5 times in 4 games. I used all 4 games.
Yeah. But again, I've used the different, the one game I think the Dolphins defense has been adequate has been the Patriots. Like the Patriots, I'm not even like you done your job. And again, my whole thing is obviously I would love the Dolphins defense to be able to not give up 500 total yards against Buffalo. I would love us to step up and say, you know what, we're playing against an elite quarterback, but we're going to slow him down. And they slowed him down in points, but not in yards. We didn't get the total package. But again, maybe I'm seeing it as I'm looking at the positive side of it, which is, the Buffalo put up 500 yards on you, but you held them to 17 points. I'll take that victory. And given who you played so far in terms of Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and to a lesser extent, Joe Burrow, don't bet the bed against Zach Wilson. But I genuinely understand anyone that's like, there's an issue which we're kind of ignoring. I understand that.
Here's my thing. Week 1, we came in and was like, we can't wait to see what the team looks like. Can't wait to silence the naysayers. Can't wait to evaluate Tua and the offense and the defense. And let's see where the Dolphins are at. And it was the Patriots. And it was too much of a small sample size to evaluate where we are as a football team. Week 2 comes. It's Baltimore. We get smacked. And then we have one of the best comebacks in the history of football. So it's like, can we really evaluate what we have as a football team? We can evaluate resiliency. Oh, hey, these boys had the fortitude to overcome some adversity. Yeah, we can evaluate that part, but we couldn't really evaluate, hey, what team do we have? What kind of team do we have? All right, let's go into Buffalo. This is going to be the litmus test. We're going to be able to gauge and see what kind of team we have. Dolphins win. Oh, Buffalo's banked up. No one's playing for their defense. 7 people are out. Although the Dolphins had a lot of people out too, no one wants to talk about it. Oh, it was too hot. So how can we evaluate a game that's too hot? Man, that's foolishness. So I don't ever want to hear about a cold weather game ever again if that's the case. Okay? Like, oh, it's a cold weather game. He can't play in cold weather. Like, right, stop it. So we still couldn't evaluate how good our team was or what our team was. Although I would not say what the people on national media were saying. Oh, those were 2 flukes. Bro, how you got 2 flukes? 2 flukes? Look, that's the oxymoron. 2 flukes? Come on, man. Like, you can have a fluke, but 2 flukes? No. So, yes, our team was 3-0. You are what your record says you are. You were 3-0. Then we go into Cincinnati. Once again, we have a chance to evaluate our team. Let's see what kind of team we have. And for all the marbles, I just knew we were going to beat Cincinnati. And I knew we were going to expose the kittens. And I knew this was going to be the revenge tour. Tua was going to beat Burrow. Everyone's going to say, all right, Dolphins might have something now. But then Tua gets hurt. And we still don't. I don't want to say we don't know. But can we really evaluate what we have as a team? And honestly, it kind of plays into our favor because we kind of weren't sneaking up on people the way we accumulated those wins. People were moving us up in the power rankings. People were saying Dolphins the best team in the NFL. Shout out to RG3. So there ain't no sneaking up on nobody. And all of a sudden, you lose your quarterback, and no one is saying, hey, the Dolphins got a good team. When Tua comes back, they're going to be trouble. Like, no, it's like, oh, none of that happened. None of that even happened. Dolphins don't even exist no more that fast. So I'm kind of happy. I don't want to say happy. That's a bad word. But I kind of don't mind the circumstances we are in, minus the fact that Tua is injured. And it's crazy how I was not like, Tua wasn't like, oh, he's my favorite player ever. He was just, I believed in him. And then all of the stuff came down on Tua and people, all the non-believers and all the nonsense. It was like, bro, y'all making me like this guy more because of what y'all putting this man through. And then I can't even like Joey Bullets and Justin Herbert because I have to defend QB1 for what kind of weapons they had. So I'm like, man, y'all making me dislike those other quarterbacks. And I shouldn't have to like or dislike anyone. That being said, we're still not at a time where we could evaluate what kind of team we have, but we got to accumulate some wins. And it starts with 2 gloves coming in on Sunday. So y'all know what time it is. Stay positive, test negative. For Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Already.
They mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time.
Before I ask you how we're going to beat the Jets,
bro, you really just gonna jump in with me trying to clear my nose up? Like,
it was just a timing thing. Normally you mute when you make those kind of sounds.
Yeah,
like,
but I can't mute with the gloves on. Like,
that's like a you issue.
I was looking for the mute where I had the gloves on.
Dude, listen, you're quarterback. Call the timeout. Call the timeout. If you got to call the timeout, do something. But no, apologies. Funny enough, so and again, PFF should never be the oh my day. PFF says this, so this must be true because I still haven't seen the Steelers game from the weekend, but Kenny Pickett had 3 turnovers, and PFF said he had no turnover worthy plays. Now, obviously, if he's throwing passes and the receivers caught the ball and then, a player kind of ripped out of his hands, nothing to do with Kenny Pickett is what it is. So I genuinely want to see where PFF has the Dolphins team in general right now. Just to see if I'm missing something, if I need to go back and look at anything. PFF has the team grades at the moment: overall 18th, offense 10th, defense 14th, and special teams 32nd. And I was like, special teams being so bad that we're last in the league. Like I don't know what they're grading special teams on. I find that a bit of a okay, fair enough. Maybe I need to spend more time on special teams, paying attention to that, and then also 3-1 record. Obviously, as we know, we are 9th in terms of points scored with 98, and 16th in terms of points allowed, 91. Which, to be fair, given how close the Bills and the Ravens game are, kind of makes sense. Hopefully, in this next 7 games, a easier schedule of somewhat. Our points scored skyrockets, and our points allowed basically stays the same. But if you want to add anything to that, go ahead. But also, Jets, before we delve into it on Friday, how do we beat them?
I don't know. We just gonna have to wait for the Jets preview. I'm not sure about that yet. But I think it's hard to, you said, skyrocket on the points scored, I think you said. But none of this matters. You know what I'm saying? None of it matters right now. We just got to get the W's so we don't fall behind. We accumulate the W's where we're supposed to get W's. Then when QB1 comes back, smooth sailing. Easy like Sunday morning. We're back on track, back on schedule. It's go time, all of that. So I don't care how we do it. I don't care what it looks like. I don't even care if the defense lays an egg. I don't care. If we come up with the W, if we come up with the W's and we're 5-1 when Tua comes back, 6-1 when Tua comes back, that's all I care about.
I'll add very, very quickly. How to beat the Jets. Get a one game. Please. Just have a one game. Have the one game go off. Raheem on Mostert, Chase Edmonds. I guess it's a question for another day. Very quickly, what's happening in friend of the podcast, Miles Gaskin? He's not dressing up most Sundays. So something to talk about.